Welcome to another exciting edition to Grove City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cutshield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cutshield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cutshield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code Grove City Hockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest all the way from Arizona. I've got Allison Era. Allison is probably one of the well-known women's inline hockey players throughout the country, maybe even throughout the world. She's captained, I believe, Team USA a number of times, most specifically the World Championships back in Italy just not too long ago. Are you guys actually going to participate in the World Games in China as well? Or is that only for the guys?
That's only for the guys for now.
Oh, so that sucks.
Hopefully we'll see some changes coming soon though. Yeah.
Well, but yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the pod to talk to us about women's roller hockey, especially women's roller hockey in the United States. It's something that we haven't had a chance to really cover too much about, but that's something that I feel like we need to start embracing as a whole, not just Grove City, but as all of the platforms. You know, I know Roller Dad does a great job of covering you guys as well, and I'm like, you know, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, babe, I need to get these girls on to talk about what an amazing job that they're doing, because it is entertaining to watch. You guys skate hard, probably if not harder. You guys play hard, if not harder than some of the guys do, and I love watching it. I know my wife does too. And you guys are an inspiration to all of the girls that are able to take a minute to watch and everything like that. So kudos to you guys.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I mean, I do have to give a big shout out to Roller Dad because I think they've always done a very good job of doing equal coverage and making sure that they're covering both the men and the women. And I think that was really what led us into kind of creating our own almost Roller Dad news, but on the women's side. Mm-hmm. So I definitely appreciate them because they've always been a huge supporter of the women and getting us content and helping us kind of grow our platform too.
Yeah, I've got nothing but mad respect for Roller Dad. I've actually reached out to them a couple of times trying to get just the host on the show just to talk about their career and to, you know, get their story out as to how they got to be where they're at. And just that's it. You know, nothing more than that. So, but Allison, we're here to talk about you and talk about women's roller. Let's start with you. How did you get into as we were talking earlier, it really is a male-dominated sport at the time. Now you're starting to see women's inline becoming one of the fastest in the country outside of women's wrestling. Well, can you tell us how you got into inline hockey or ice hockey in general?
Yeah, it was very random, I must say, but I've been playing hockey since I was 6. And I am going to be 33 this year, so it's been a long time. But it was really random. I ended up watching one of my dad's friends play in a men's hockey league, just like a random beer league. And I was like, I want to play. And my dad got me set up and I started playing roller first. back when I was 6, and then started playing ice when I was 7. And I know when we were chatting earlier, I think that's part of the reason why I've really pushed the women's side, because growing up, we didn't really have those opportunities. I had to play boys hockey, the majority of my youth career, because there wasn't a ton of women's opportunities or girls' opportunities for me to play with women, which I think, is a double-edged sword, because I think that it's amazing to see some of the growth in that. And like you really see with like the Ducks programs and the Kachinas, and especially on the West Coast, I see a lot of that, being in this area. But I didn't really have that, which I think on the plus side has made me a better hockey player. I think playing against men has made me stronger, faster, from a physical standpoint, most men are larger than me, most men are stronger than me. So it's really taught me how to compete in those areas. But yeah, so I started when I was 6, ice when I was 7. And as I mentioned earlier, there wasn't a ton of opportunity. So I played boys until I was about 15 years old, when those guys went through the growth spurt, and all of a sudden I'm in a checking league and I'm getting tossed around out there. And I just kind of realized I really wanted to have a future in hockey, and I wanted to go to the Olympics, and I had that kid dream of doing that. And so I really focused on the ice side of things. So I ended up linking up with the LA Selects. I don't even know if they're around anymore. But previously the California Selects, and got linked up there. And every weekend in high school, I was driving to California with my mom, and driving up on a Saturday morning and going to practice and playing in a game, and then playing in one more game and driving home. So definitely a lot of sacrifices made, from a high school kid standpoint. Missed a lot of dances, missed a lot of the social aspect of high school. But that really put me in a good place to be scouted for college. So, LA Selects were a very good team. They were always in the top 10, went to nationals every year. And that is really what helped me, get scouted and go to Plattsburgh.
Yeah, and then at SUNY Plattsburgh, you were able to win a national championship in Division III. That would have been in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. 2014, my senior year, which was crazy because the year before we actually were favorited to win. We went undefeated the entire season and then lost in the Frozen Four. So my freshman year, we didn't make it to the Frozen Four, and then sophomore, junior year, we made it to the Frozen Four, didn't make it to the championship, and then my senior year, we finally won. So that was a big accomplishment for me. Obviously, one of the top ones in my career, especially on the ice hockey side. Not many feelings, I think, can beat that, putting that ring on the finger. So,
well, yeah. But let's go back to the game just prior to that championship game, because I saw the score of the championship game. It was 9-2. But the game before, that was a tough game for you guys, because I think you guys were playing St. Thomas.
Yes. I believe we went into overtime. It was, even like talking about now, it kind of gives me chills, because it was such a scary moment, because, you work all year for this, you have a dry season, you're not drinking, you're not enjoying the full college experience because you're wanting to win a national championship so bad. And, I remember my coach, we had in our locker room, disciplined, selfless, and relentless. And one thing that always like stuck with me that my coach said is like all the years that he's like had a team, we were always disciplined, we were always selfless, but this was like the team that was really relentless and like really pushed beyond our limits. Definitely one of the most talented teams I've played with. It was a battle. I mean, it was a battle of the goalies. I mean, our goalie at the time, Sydney Avison, stood on her head, and their goalie was standing on their head. And finally, I fired a shot from the point, and it finally went in, and that kind of took us into the championship game. And yeah, it was a crazy experience for sure.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you who got the overtime goal in that one. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What a feeling, though, like to know all of that hard work and that sacrifice, and then you're the one that was able to bury that puck in the net. Talk about an amazing experience and an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it really was. And I mean, there's really nothing like it. And I feel that way playing for Team USA. I mean, there are certain games and certain moments that I think as an athlete, you just never forget. And obviously, like, that feeling was incredible with it being my senior year, with us, going through the diversity that we had of, making it to the Frozen Four and not quite making it to the championship game. With it being my last year of college hockey, I think it meant a lot. And like I said, I think, you obviously are happy that you score the goal, but like, it's more the feeling that your teammates give you after you do. Like, you just feel like you've really given back to, like, something that you've put so much work into. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and honestly, like, I think I blacked out when it happened. I know I got tackled by my team, and I don't know how nobody got hurt, but yeah, I mean, I remember all of us like practically crying in the locker room because we were just like so happy to finally make it just to the championship game. So yeah, it was a very, very cool experience. Yeah, it was a fun team.
Yeah,
And
then
it was in our home. It was in our home rink. Like, those types of things, like, don't happen very often. And we had our rink was very large, so it wasn't a small rink where if you have 20 or 30 fans, it looks full. I mean, we had an arena that we played in, and to have a full arena for a women's ice hockey game was like really amazing. And getting to have my parents there, my grandma was there, and they didn't, being on the West Coast, it's expensive to fly out. So those types of things, like, you just never forget. So.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because it's one of those experiences where you were able to not only create a memory not only for yourself, but for all of your teammates, for the sacrifices and everything that you put in, and to go out on your home rink as a senior. Not many people can say, hey, I got a chance to win a national championship in my home rink my senior year. So I think you can probably count the number of players that were on your team that was on one hand that were a senior. That was able to.
I think there were, and it was funny because thinking back now, I think there were only two. It was me and my freshman roommate that were the only ones that were there all 4 years. Everyone else had transferred in. So I think we had a total of 7 seniors on my team, and 5 of them were transferred. So that was amazing too, to kind of go through like all 4 years with such a small core group of people. And they went on to win, I think they went 4 times in a row, if I remember correctly, after. So we started that lead, and it was really cool to see, even after I graduated, some of my friends that were freshmen, sophomores, and juniors go on and continue to win.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then from that, it was a pretty quick turnaround, because you were asked to play for Team USA, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So I started playing for Team USA when I was 15. So those went hand in hand for a really long time. I think I will say it was hard to kind of balance the two of being in college and playing roller hockey, because obviously in college, ice hockey was what I was doing every day. So from like an athlete standpoint and being in shape, it was great. But, I'm not playing roller hockey in Plattsburgh, New York. Like, it just wasn't an option. But yeah, on the roller side, I tried out when I was 14, made the team when I was 15, went to Germany my first year. And back then it was like a huge deal. I mean, I was the youngest person to ever make the team. I still hold that record, and that's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart, because I know how hard it was to make the team. And, this was back when we used to do like full-blown multiple day tryouts. And I remember being on the rink with like Kat Santo and Joy Woog and the people, and Lisa Juvenelli. And I mean, these people were probably in their early to mid 20s when I'm, a kid, and trying to impress these women. And it's kind of funny, because I think at that time I probably was a little bit cockier and knew my skill level. But to be part of a team that was so welcoming to someone who was such a large age gap was really amazing. And the experience was great. I mean, I miss those pieces of the tryouts that I don't think we necessarily do anymore. I miss the days with the girls where you're, at the Olympic Training Center, and you're eating meals together, and you're going through this tryout process together, and you're rooming together. And at the end of the tryout, you're looking at a piece of paper posted on a glass, hoping that your name's on it, and I wish it was like that still. It's changed a lot over the years. And I think, we have our core group of girls that you kind of see on our team every year or every 2 years now. But yeah, I mean, those things are things that I definitely don't think I realized how much I took them for granted later. Being younger, I don't know, I really understood the full capacity of like what that experience really meant. But yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience. I've been on the team since I was 15. I hold the record for the longest consecutive years on the team. Been a captain between assistant and the captain, on and off for 5 to 7 years, with Laura Veronta, and it's been amazing. it has its ups and downs for sure, but it's been amazing to be able to travel the world and make friends in different countries and hear about other women's experiences about everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, so I guess one of the things that I want to ask is now the selection process you talked a little bit about has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I believe you're still a member on the Team USA USARS committee, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was on the committee last year. I'm
Right.
not on the committee this year. It was something I opted out of just with so many things that I have going on. But I was part of that process last year, and did assist with that. Obviously, so the way that it's set up now is it's an application process. So, you know, you're putting in a resume. And a lot of it is based on, you know, what people know about you, your resume, who you play with, you know, and is your name out there, and what type of brand do you hold for yourself? You know, I think previously it used to be a tryout process. I mean, you'd have to fly out to you know, a location, whether it was Philadelphia, whether it was Colorado, wherever that was, and you would go through a 3-day training process. And yeah, so it's a different experience now, which is, from a financial standpoint, I'm sure amazing, right? You know, you're not having to buy a flight and get a hotel and do that whole thing. But from, I would say, an experience standpoint, I think it's hard, because I think that, you know, there are probably girls and women out there that are more than talented enough to represent our country, and they may be in a pocket of the US that no one gets to see, right? So, you know, I see that a lot even on the women's roller hockey side with like our draft tournament, and things like that. You know, I see a lot of, you look at our roster from last year, and I would say probably 70% of our team is in California. You know, like that's where we are, that's where we live. And the other, you know, we have a couple East Coast girls, and I know Kyla was in Florida. So we kind of have these like top cities where, you know, roller hockey is a bigger pocket. But I know that there are girls in Colorado, like Kendall Curtis, for example. Obviously, she's a well-known name, but if someone hadn't seen her at a tournament and she just put her name in a hat, I don't know if that would have happened, you know? So those are things that you have to think about. So I kind of go back and forth on the application process now with me being the age that I am now and being on the team. You know, I'm not saying I want to go and try out and go through that process, because it is a lot, but no, it's something that I definitely have thought about.
Yeah. And I'm almost curious if the National Development Program is going to, I think it's going to incorporate both boys and girls. So you can start to see, so the coaches can start to see the young up and coming talent that they might not be able to catch at Norwich or at State Wars or tours. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. And that's something that, you know, we've partnered with the National Development Program on the women's draft tournament. You know, and I know that the coaches, and with Charlotte Nicholson being there, you know, Celeste Loyato is out there, Dave Marmosine's out there. You know, there are coaches that are watching for young and up and coming talent. But again, with the draft tournament being in California, are you going to see a lot of the East Coast girls travel to that? Of course, we do see it. But, you know, at some point as this grows, we want it to be something that you can do from the East Coast and the West Coast, and maybe somewhere, you know, in the middle along the way, right?
Absolutely.
That would be the goal.
Yeah. So now let's talk a little bit about the women's draft tournament. So you were telling me a little bit about it. It's the Ringster draft tournament. It's it's been going on for for a few years. Started out kind of small, but now you have over 150 women and girls playing. It's a women and girls only event. You will not see any boys playing out there, which I think is an amazing feat. To have 150 women's hockey players is incredible to hear. Tell us a little bit about that experience, how that kind of came about, and where that direction is heading, because it seems like it's going up.
Yeah. So the draft tournament wasn't originally when women's roller hockey was created, that was not really the purpose or the goal. That is something that it has shifted and grown into. But originally, I created this brand, Women's Roller Hockey, because I noticed that the women and the girls were not getting the recognition I feel that they deserved. You would see a lot of, highlights of the men and men's USA players and, men's team USA is well represented and those types of comments and, championship game photos and highlight reels and all this stuff of the men and the pro men and, the men are winning money and all of these things. And it was just like, there was a very large lack of equality there, especially seeing the talent that we have. I know that with the age that I'm at now, I know that the impact is going to be on the younger generations, which is the point now. I know that what I'm doing now is going to be growing the sport for younger girls. But I also wanted to be able to highlight the talent that we have now, which that's what it originally started as. I started getting pictures and videos and kind of posting that, and that's what it originally started as. And then, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, what I hear a lot is the women's community in inline hockey is already so small. And a lot of the girls play with the same team, every tournament, whether it's State Wars, whether it's Narch, whether it's, whatever. And I'm like, how can we kind of commingle different girls players? How can we bring out girls that maybe are only playing in men's beer leagues or men's leagues all around the US that don't have access to playing with girls who maybe want to play in Narch or State Wars? And how can we kind of combine this? So originally it was 3 years ago was our first draft tournament that we hosted out of the Rinks Irvine Inline. My friend Laura Veranta, who's on Team USA with me and is also on Ringster Pro with me, she really helped me and support me kind of do this. And so we partnered up together and we're like, let's do this draft tournament. So we started out, I wouldn't say super small, but kind of small, just because we didn't want to bite off more than we can chew and really wanted it to be about the experience. I think with, some of the larger tournaments, it's very competitive and it's very, high level. And we really wanted this to be a very all-inclusive event. Whether you're just beginning, whether you're a very high-end player, whether you're younger, older, we just really wanted everyone to have access to it. So the first year, I think we had 6 women's teams, I think is what we did. And what came with the draft tournament, so you got a free t-shirt. We did raffles to help raise money for Team USA, because I'm not sure if you're aware, Team USA is not sponsored. So not sponsored financially in terms of we're paying our own way to get there, and we're having to pay for our hotel and our food. And again, like those hold people back who maybe have the talent but don't have the money to do that. And so we really wanted to give back and help finance some of that offset that cost, I guess you could say. So the tournament turned out really well. We ended up doing a happy hour on that Friday and your registration came with 2 free drink tickets. So you could go to this happy hour and get two beers on us and just get to mingle around. And we got a lot of really great feedback from that. It was a really successful year for us. And then last year we added the juniors division, which I thought was really cool. So we did, the women's team, we brought that up to 8. Women's teams, and then we added in 4 junior teams. So that was going to be ages, I think 11 to 14 is what that cutoff was. And so it was really cool because we did a tryout process. So we had, an hour of ring time where all the girls would go and we would basically scrimmage for about an hour just so we can kind of see where the different girls were at, picked captain. They were all coached by Team USA players. Jerseys were provided. It was just really about the experience. And then we did the juniors as well. So we had the women's and the juniors again with the happy hour. And this year I'm really excited because we're adding our littles division. So this is ages 6 to 10. So it's really cool. So I think the first year that we were completely sold out, I haven't seen that. We have a 10 or 15 player waiting list on both the junior side and the women's side. But it's really fun experience. We do it draft style. So I pick captains typically based on different pro teams. So, we had someone represent, Black Ice last year. We had someone represent Ringster. We had someone represent Palma. This year we had the Terrapins. We had Revel. And we just do it draft style. So we all hop on a Zoom and we auto do the draft order and we all just pick off the rosters and, you're playing with people you don't know. And, it's just a very cool way. We got a lot of feedback from some of the girls that come out from like North Carolina, and we had some girls from Hawaii last year in Vegas that do not have access to women's hockey. So, and now I've seen those girls playing in some of the larger tournaments. So it's a fun experience, and it's something that I really enjoy. We get pictures done. We have amazing sponsors that help us do that. We give pictures out for free. So everyone should, see pictures of themselves playing. And really, we're just trying to provide an excellent experience and just give younger girls access to what there is to look out for, and these littles, I coach some of them, and they're 6, 7 years old, and, they think we are the best, like, oh, I want to be like Laura, or I want to be like Allie, or I want to be like whoever. And yeah, it's a fun thing.
Well, but don't sell yourself short. You are one of the best. Both you and Laura, you guys literally are two of the best in women's hockey. And you could throw Kyla, would be the top 3.
Kyla's, yeah. That's my line mate. Yeah. I was this weekend was actually watching some of the playoff games and the championship games from the World Championships in Italy last year, and she's currently pregnant, so we won't be seeing her this summer. But I very much miss playing with her.
Yeah. No, I've reached out to both Tyler and Kyla to get them on the pod. Tyler set up an appointment, or we set up an interview, but then he had a last minute change, and then have not been able to reschedule him since. Yeah. So
that dad life, man, watching, as you know.
Yeah. But yeah, if you guys are watching, we'll try to get them on at some point. So hopefully soon. Because I want to talk to them about their I just came to me and lost it. The
Florida Cup?
No, well, that too, but because Kyla was playing out in with Chaos with now I'm drawing a blank. It's the out in Colorado, the championships there with
Paiha?
Yeah, I'm like, why am I not? I kept thinking AIHL because of I know Anthony Flynn, and so and I knew him through AIHL, and I'm going, why am I not? Why is it not coming to me?
No worries.
But so I wanted to talk to him a little bit about that, because Kyla, I think, was the only female playing in the professional ranks on that. So that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So back to the World Skate Games. You guys kind of reclaimed your number one status, because Spain had taken it from you guys the year prior, 2 years prior. Tell us a little bit about this World Skate Game tournament, because this year it actually exploded, or this past year, from the number of teams that were participating. Because I think there was 18 teams in the senior division, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think being on the team for as long as I have, I've seen a lot of different, venues. I've seen things done different ways. It's interesting because we've had a couple world skates in Roccoroso, which I'm not sure if you're familiar, is a very small ski town in Italy. So in terms of accessibility, you don't think of it being a large venue to bring in people to come watch. But they did a really good job of making it accessible to the people that were there. And I think hockey in general is a bigger sport. But yeah, from a skill standpoint, I mean, it's crazy to talk about Spain, because when I was first on Team USA, Spain was not a country that was typically in the picture of being a top country. And I've really seen them grow their game. I mean, they are training constantly. They are really growing from young girls all the way up to the women's side, and I think it's really cool to see that. And France has always been a very high-end top country that we play against. Canada is obviously another top one that we see. Czech Republic used to be a big one that I know a lot of their girls are playing ice, so I don't think that they participate like they used to. But yeah, I mean, the World Skate Games were great this year. Definitely stressful, definitely nail biting, but that's what I play for. I don't like the 9-2 games. I don't like and that goes for Narch. It goes for State Wars. I mean, no high end athlete likes playing those games, whether you're on whatever side you're on, you don't like it. So I think the most exciting games are always going to be the ones that we play against France and Spain and Canada. I think there's a little bit more of a rivalry there, and it's a little bit more of a bloodbath, which makes it more fun for everyone to watch. But yeah, it was a great experience, obviously, and we came off a three-peat a few years back, and I forgot what it was like to lose, and a couple of years ago I know that we weren't able to bring our best team, and we did not flow well together, and you definitely saw that, and we didn't even make the championship game. It ended up being Spain and France. And then losing and not making it to a championship game was hard for me. I can only count on one hand that I haven't made a championship game in the many years I've played. And so that's always a goal, to at least get silver.
Right.
But it's interesting because I considered potentially retiring after this year. I'm 33. I'm kind of entering a different phase in my life. And, I really wanted to go out on a gold medal. But now that I've had a taste of it, I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, I don't think it's fun, actually. So yeah, it's crazy, and I don't know what it was about this year, if it was because we had lost a couple years, or what, but even just like getting ready for the championship game and like listening to our national anthem, like something just hit differently this year, and I just had a little bit more of an appreciation for the opportunities that I've had in hockey, and the people that I've met. And you look at our Team USA team, and half our team, I mean, we were rivals. I mean, you had, Palma and Ringster, and that is what you see every year at State Wars and at Narch, or those two teams. And you're asking, half and half to get along for a weekend and play together and flow.
Yeah.
And we did it, and it was impressive both on the rink and off the rink. I think there's always that rivalry between Ringster and Palma, and for us to be able to put all of that aside and like completely act as a unit, both on and off the rink, I think really created a lot of chemistry that was just unbeatable at the World Championship.
I kind of picture it as you have your four from each team, and going, okay, oh, you guys did that, let me see if I can top you on that, and then just kind of going, oh, anything you can do, we can do better, is kind of what
it was not like that, surprisingly. I mean, we mixed a lot. I mean, this year I played forward with Kyla, and I think her and I have a lot of chemistry together, and I don't know what it is about us, because we always had really great chemistry, and I don't know where it came from. We didn't know each other growing up. We didn't have any of that, but she is always where I need her to be, and I'm always where she needs me to be, and we just have amazing chemistry. And, I know Sarah Beer, and we had some younger up-and-coming girls like Chloe Sapra, and we really just had a good mix of, I think, veterans and the couple of in between who have maybe played a couple years, and then the brand new kind of up and coming younger girls that are 16, 17. I mean, our team is on the older side. I mean, we're over 30, the majority of us, and I think that's rare. You look at Spain, they have a lot of younger girls, they put a lot of work into that junior team becoming their women team. France has a lot of veterans as well. I've played against a lot of those girls, growing up too, like in the World Championship. So yeah, I mean, this is probably, and I'm saying this with 100% confidence, the best team that we've ever brought to the World Championships. I mean, I felt confident with any line that was out there and any player in any situation. And I think that that's really rare to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And also the Namibians, they also have a very young core as well. I think their men's, I think the oldest player was 23, and so I was just like, wow. But then on the women's side, with the captain Lisane Cotis, I think she's still old enough to play on the junior women's team, which is crazy. We had a couple girls that played both as well. Our goalie, who won top goalie, she played on the junior division the week before, Jolie. And I can't remember if Chloe did or not. But we had girls that could have done both. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so you guys ended up reclaiming your spot at the top. You don't have. I think the next tournament is going to be in a couple years. But with that, you made a mention that majority of Team USA is over 30. There is now a Masters division heading up in Germany. Is that something that some of you girls are going to be participating in? I know one of them was Leela Kastner. She's going to be playing over there.
Yes.
In Germany.
The Masters division, I know, like our coach Charlotte Nicholson I think is competing in that. As far as I know, none of the current Team USA women's players are competing in that. I think they just released the rosters for the Masters division, so it's a lot of women that have played on USA before and maybe had taken a couple years off. Very talented group of girls. I grew up and play with some of them still currently. Sandra Check, I believe, is on that roster. She's a solid player. Shara obviously has a ton of experience, both coaching and playing. I think for us, it's tough because one, you take off a lot of time from work to go to these tournaments. So I think that piece of it's tough. Like I know for me, I'm a little bit happy that we do it every 2 years now because now I get to spend some more time on actual vacation because it does kind of suck up a lot of my time. But definitely something that I see maybe in my future. Not yet though, for me. Not quite. But I know that they were pulling on Kyla because I know Kyla's at that point too where she could play both. And I think just again that 30s time frame is a little bit tough because some of us are settling down and unlike the men have to prep our bodies to go through types of things and in the bouncing back, and honestly I have to give Kyla so much kudos because you would never know that she had a child and she is still the fastest player in the world. And yeah, but I definitely could see, I've talked to a couple of the girls on the women's team that had said that this last year was their last year that they would be competing and they just kind of want to focus on some other things. I don't know that I'm at that point yet. I know Laura's not at that point yet. And I think you'll always have at least for the next few years, our core. We usually have a core of, 4 to 6 girls that have been on the team for a really long time. And then, it's sprinkling in the younger up and coming junior girls and things like that.
Cool. And so that's going to bring me up to our next topic of the Lebeda Freeze, or well, I should say, I think it is Lebeda Freeze Women's Pro Showdown, right? Talk to us a little bit about that. Do you know how many teams are going to be involved in that yet?
I do not. It's interesting because I know I'm happy to see that State Wars has gotten on board with the women's division. I know it's taken a little bit longer for the focus to be on the girls, and I think now people are seeing that there is value in that and there's skill in that, and the more that you feed this group, the better it's going to be. I think Narch can attest to that. He finally, Darren at Narch had given us the opportunity to be a pro division and gave us a cash prize. And again, like if you create the environment for us to come, we will. And we did, and it's been a great experience. And I think that State Wars sees that. And I think it's a good opportunity to grow the women's side of things. I think it's amazing that Lebeda Freeze wants to sponsor that division. With the cash prize. And I think I saw on there that they are going to do it like the men's where there's a cash prize for every game won and things like that. But again, it's nice to see State Wars get on board with it because it's something that I think we've been working towards. And it's really little changes that can have a massive impact. And I think that's something that, again, we saw with Narch, putting the women's division, pro division before the men's final, that's how you entice people. I mean, the men's pro guys love watching us play. I mean, and you talk about the top players in the world, like they love watching us play. We love watching them play. They're some of the biggest supporters there. And, I think you see our stands grow every single tournament. So it's cool that they're getting on board with that. And I'm excited to see what it's like this year. I think there was some questionability on if these women's teams were still going to come because it wasn't something that you could tell was a focus. But I think it'll be really good this year.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's just right down the road from me. It's in Taylor. I'm literally like 0.5 of a mile from Lake Michigan, but I'm going to drive the 2.5 hours to the other side to catch it.
Nice.
I've already talked to my wife, and I'm like, hey, if we don't do anything else this summer, can we do this?
Yeah.
My vacation time renews right around the time that the tournament's going to begin or
Yeah.
ending. So and Tim told me the same thing, that he wants to showcase women's hockey this year, so that's why he was able to set up the finals right before the men's as well. So I think it's going to be great exposure. You guys are going to have a packed arena, a packed house, and it's going to be some fantastic hockey. If I can get up there and broadcast with some of the guys chit chatting about it, I will. I think it'll be great for the sport to get there and talk about what a great job you guys are doing. Plus, the game that you guys play is so fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely different than what you'll see on the men's side, right? There's a little bit more finesse. There's a little bit more patience. There's, I would say, more tactical. Obviously, the men's side, and even on a physical level, I think people expect that the men to be a lot more physical, but you see just as much physicality on the women's side. And sometimes it's worse because we can be a little bit cattier, so a little bit more fun. But no, I am really excited for State Wars this year, and I think there was a risk of teams dropping out of that tournament because I think it wasn't a focus, and I think this is doing things like Tim is doing is amazing, and I think that will bring out even more pro teams and hopefully people willing to travel, because I know it is tough. I mean, for us on the West Coast, like Narch is kind of our tournament, right? Like that's our home base. We don't have to travel, blah, blah, blah. And, we travel and we rent a house to go to State Wars and things like that. So the experience is very important to us. And so I'm just happy that he's creating a really good environment for us to want to play. And I'm excited to see what it turns into. And I think, with the National Development Program, there are so many different moving parts that are really working together towards the same goal. And I think now that we're all seeing that we're all on the same page and we're all wanting the same things, it's not a competition of things. It's really like embracing everything, and I work very closely with Darren at Narch. I know Laura does the same, and Tim and myself and Charlotte and the USA people, like we've worked with him on things. And again, I think it's just that cohesiveness of these different huge contributors to hockey working together to create a good experience, especially on the women's side. I think that it's always going to be a male dominated sport. I think it will, and but that's okay. Like we're not, at the end of the day, I think it's important to know that we're not the same. Like you see it a lot with like, pro athletes, and you're comparing men and women, like they're not the same. And I think we kind of need to get off of like trying to compare those two things because it's not the same game. And at the end of the day, it's just the equality that we want. We want the same opportunity. I don't want the same thing. I want the same opportunity. Right. So, and that's what I think everyone's kind of on board fighting for at this point.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how women's hockey is going to continue to grow, especially because my daughter, like I said, she's going to be 21 months here, and with the draft tournament in a few years now that you mentioned that you have the littles, we will do everything we can to make sure that she gets out there to participate.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe next year we'll have a toddler division.
It'd be amazing. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. We'll add a master's division, and then we'll add a toddler's division. So we can cover all aspects of everything.
Yeah, but then also, with all the roller dads and their babies, I know Marker's got his daughter as well. So
Marigan has, I think, actually. No, I mean, and that's the thing, right? I mean, Kyla's having a girl. Or Kyla has a girl, and like you and another ringster person has a daughter, and it's just these are the things that grow. And I know Greg Thompson has daughters, and I think Tim does as well. And that's what's happening. I mean, that's what we're creating at this point. I mean, it's sad for me because it's no longer for me. Like, I think for me, it's on the tail end of things, but to see the opportunity that we're giving for the younger girls is really amazing. And I think I didn't really see that until we had the juniors division last year, and just seeing all these girls are playing on boys teams. They don't have girls teams to play on. And, thank God for like the Lauras of the world who are putting, ringster 16U, 14U. I mean, these are teams that we have to start doing farm teams for because eventually we're going to be too old. We're not going to be able to play anymore.
Yeah,
So,
well, but it's like you were saying, it's one of those opportunities where it's now is the time to keep playing, but then also to give back, to create those opportunities for the next generation to come in and to challenge you guys and to take over for you, in a few years when you get there. I know my career was cut short, 10 years ago. And now I'm just now getting back into it after being away from it for 8 years. So I'm like, you know what? I can't let all this non-hockey or this hockey knowledge go to waste up here. So it's time to get back and to talk about it, like get it out there and hopefully it can help somebody grow, learn the game, respect the game, and to, learn from it and be a better person from it too, as well.
Yeah. And I think that's the piece. I mean, I'll be honest, there was a period of time that I was very jaded by, just, I think seeing the way USA and that whole thing is run and the lack of support, I think that we get from like a sponsorship standpoint and, like seeing social media and seeing the lack of showcasing of the women. And I think I was jaded. I mean, I was frankly pissed off because it's like, this has been my life for the majority of my life. And then it gets to a point where it's like, you have to create the change that you want to see. And so I literally remember sitting on my couch, drinking a glass of wine and texting Laura and being like, this is ridiculous. Like, we need to do something. And it started that way. And it's not based on this like jaded kind of experience anymore. I mean, now I see the benefits, I see the growth, I see it. And I think it's taken a little bit, and I will say Laura and I did things very slow because we didn't want it to be this like fast growing thing that just like dies off, because this is a movement. It's no longer, we're just going to do this draft tournament, it's going to be fun. I mean, we're really trying to pave the way for a future. But yeah, I mean, I think I'll be honest, that jaded side really, I think, is what started it. And now I'm in a different place where I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. I mean, to be the face of women's hockey on the inline side during these draft tournaments and things like that. I mean, it is a lot of work. I mean, Laura and I spend months putting this tournament together, and I know it's just going to get bigger and the workload's going to get bigger, but it's totally worth it. I mean, from the second registration starts, like you just kind of go on autopilot and you really get to sit in those moments of like, kids are excited, parents are excited. We get flooded with emails of how much fun the kids had. And that, like, again, even saying that, I get chills. Like, that's why I'm doing it now. And it's an amazing opportunity. And I think I've had a really successful hockey career, and I'm obviously not done with that yet, but I've accomplished everything that I personally have wanted to accomplish with, a national championship, a few gold medals under my belt, starting this draft tournament. And it's like you said, I'm not stopping hockey. I'm not stopping playing hockey, but I think my focus is more on the growth aspect of it. Being in San Diego, I just moved back to Arizona. I was coaching again and doing some training and you do those moments, like those are just as impactful as like this game-winning goals, and like seeing someone learn their stride and seeing someone fall in love with the game and see someone, mentally get stronger, and those types of things are just as impactful. So it's very easy to keep going.
Yeah, for me is when it clicks.
Yeah.
When you're teaching them something that you want them to do, and it just you see the light bulb click. Yeah. That's what draws me in every time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Cool. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of GCH Podcast. We've had so much to talk about, and I can't wait to bring you back on to talk about the success from the draft tournament here in the next couple of years. Because, like I said, once my daughter is old enough, we're going to ship her out and we're going to make it happen.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks. I'm Ben W. Stock. That's Allison Era. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Up in front of the net. And now Vearanta up top, Sanders. Here's Era. It's got space. Scores! Allison Era took the pass. Got a shooting lane and buried it past the blocker of Sanchez. It's now 1-0. Ringster on a power play goal by number 79, Allison Era.
Well, Era got Sanchez moving side to side as Bejaranta fed it over to her, and she shot back against the...
That's going to do it for this episode of GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, alongside Chris Greco. Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe on all our platforms on YouTube and on Spotify. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.